Ah, the classic middle child. Paul Ronto here from Run Repeat, and today we're going to check out the Saucony Endorphin Speed. I've been super excited to get this shoe. I've been a Saucony fan for a long time. I used to race in the Kinvaras, had a few generations of the Peregrines as my trail shoe. So I was excited to get these in and take them for a whirl. The Endorphin Speed is Saucony's speed training tempo day shoe. It can work as a race day shoe as well. It's light, it's nimble. So let's dive right into this review. As always, I like to talk about updates first. The Endorphin line is new to Saucony, so there's not a lot of updates to talk about. There's 3 shoes in this lineup. There's the Shift, which is their everyday trainer. There's the Pro, which is their carbon plated race shoe. And then there's the Speed, which kind of falls in the middle, which we're gonna talk a lot about. But before we get into the review, please hit the like button below, hit the subscribe button too. It really helps us continue to create these videos. It helps boost our channel, it helps us get some eyes on these reviews. We really appreciate you following us here on YouTube. Thanks again. As always, I like to talk about the pros and cons of these shoes. Let's start with the pros. We're gonna talk a little bit about the upper. The upper is an engineered mesh upper. It's super flexible. It gives a little bit. It hugs your foot really nicely. It's not that padded. It's more minimalist than plush, but it feels nice and cozy. It's got a soft feel to it, and it's super breathable. I'm really digging the upper that they put on the Endorphin Speed. As for the tongue, lightly padded, a little bit of padding up here at the top. It's got some small gussets. It's semi-gusseted, which we'll talk a bit about a little bit later. The lacing system, flat laces, nothing fancy here, but they produce very nice lockdown. I didn't have any slip issues in the midfoot. They've done a good job on designing this around fitting your foot really well. Heel counter, this is a solid medium stiffness, I'd say. It's not floppy like some other race shoes, but it's not super stiff either, which I actually like. A super stiff heel cup for me doesn't really work that well. I get less slip in a softer heel cup, so I like that this has some rigidity to it, but it's pretty soft otherwise. All right, midsole. This is kind of the showstopper as usual. This is a PIBA-based foam midsole. It's very springy, it's very responsive, it feels very lively underfoot. It also has a full-length nylon TPU plate to give it a little more spring on toe off. It really feels responsive, it feels peppy. It also has what's called the speed roll design, which kind of pushes you onto the midfoot and onto your toe. It feels a little funky probably if you're a heel striker, but if you land solidly on your midfoot or on your forefoot, I think you're really gonna like how this midsole reacts underfoot. Outsole, minimal, it keeps the weight down. Those are the main pros on the outsole. I'm gonna talk about this a little bit later in the cons as well. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the cons. First, the tongue. It's semi-gusseted, like I mentioned, but the gussets are really far back. They actually attach back here, almost by the heel instead of in the midfoot. So they don't really give a ton of midfoot lockdown like normal gussets do. They also are fairly narrow and they kind of roll up sometimes when you put your foot in the shoe. So I've had to put my fingers down in there and flatten them back out. I think they could just be a touch wider like some of the other gussets I've tested out, like in the Hokas, let's say, which are done a little bit better. Midsole, I do have a little bit of a gripe for the midsole. This is a high stack shoe. It feels tall. The heel feels a little unstable. When you're walking or going slow, or say you're landing on your heel, it feels like the heel isn't a flat platform. It feels like it's got rounded edges and it has a little bit of roll to it. The second you start to get the speed and you start landing on your forefoot or your midfoot, I think that issue goes away. So it's not really a problem, but if you're a heel striker, this might feel a little unstable for you throughout your run. Outsole, a little bit of gripe. There is a lot of exposed foam here at the bottom of the midsole. There's not a ton of great grip. I had no problem on asphalt or on concrete, but once I hit some crosswalk lines, it was a little slippery. It's definitely slippery here in my house on the wood floors. This wouldn't be a shoe I would take into the gym. It just had a little bit of grip issues, but again, probably not an issue if you're just running out on the asphalt. But the second things get wet or smooth and slick, be careful in this shoe. Please make your way over to RunRepeat.com after this video. Check out all the stats and facts on this shoe. There's a ton of stuff I'm not gonna cover in this review. We've got reviews from other users, reviews from other experts, links to retailers. You can find all the different colors and sizes over there. So please, after this video, make sure you make your way over to RunRepeat.com and check everything out about the Endorphin Speed. As always, I want to talk about the specifics, the fit, the comfort, the durability. Starting with fit, I had no issues with this shoe. Fit super great, no heel slip issues, great lockdown from the lacing system in the midfoot. Obviously, I mentioned the gusseted tongue a little bit. I think the gussets could be moved forward and be made a little bit wider. But otherwise, it has a roomy toe box. The upper flexes around your foot. The fit is great. I had no issues there. Comfort, very pleased with the comfort on this shoe. It hugs your foot nicely. It's breathable. There's no hot spots. It has really nice, lively ride because of the midsole. It's got smooth transitions with that nylon plate. I think they did a great job. It's a comfortable shoe to put miles in, to go fast in, maybe to race in. So I think they've done a good job on the comfort of this shoe. As far as a race shoe goes, if you're using this on race day, very comfortable. A little bit more plush than most race shoes with a carbon plate. And I like that for someone who's looking for a softer ride on race day. Weight, in men's size 9, this comes in at 8.08. So let's call it 8.1 ounces. Very light. I like that. It's not a full-on race shoe. It's still a tempo speed training shoe. So it's a trainer. I like that they've kept the weight down on a training-oriented shoe. It feels good. It feels nimble underfoot. Drop and stack, 8mm drop, 35.5 millimeters in the back. So it is a max cushion, max stack height shoe. It's very tall, which I mentioned there's some issues with that heel, possibly if you're a heel striker. Ultimately, doesn't feel super steep. That 8mm is kind of in that sweet spot. You know, I like 6. Once you get to 10, I think it's a little high. So 8 is kind of right there in the middle. It's doing all right. Durability, I would personally be a little skeptical on the durability of this midsole. It literally looks like styrofoam, which is surprising with like a thin veneer over it. But Saucony says that this material is 88% more energy efficient and it's dramatically more durable than standard EVA. Time will tell. It's an interesting design. It's an interesting material in hand. It's interesting underfoot, but that's one issue with I'm slightly concerned with on durability. The other is the outsole. It's very minimal. There's a lot of foam exposed, so there could be some premature breakdown of this midsole where it's exposed underfoot. Looks, I love the looks. I actually didn't order this color. I ordered, I think it's called Cinturone. It's like neon yellow. This model came, it's called the NYC model. When I ordered this shoe, I'd never seen this model before. It's kind of cool. It came in the mail. It felt like I was getting a limited edition sneaker. It even came with a matching fancy box. But I think it looks cool. I think the whole Endorphin line looks cool. They kind of all look alike. They look actually so similar, it's hard to tell them apart from the Pro and the Speed and the Shift. But I like that. You know that it's like this designed lineup, all designed to kind of work well together. Price, 160 bucks. I'm stuck on this to say it's a good value because for $20 less, you can get the Shift, which is a true everyday trainer. For $40 more, you can get the Pro, which is a true race shoe with a carbon plate. So the Endorphin Speed kind of falls in the middle. It's that classic middle child. It loses a little bit of its identity because it's bookended by 2 shoes that have a specific purpose. Overall conclusion, I think this is a fun shoe to run in. I think it feels great. It's comfortable. I think it's built well. It looks cool. I think that this shoe kind of has an identity crisis. I think that there's better value if you want a true race shoe to go up to the Endorphin Pro with the carbon plate. This isn't really your everyday trainer, although it's a speed tempo day trainer, so I like it for that. It could be worn as a race shoe. It can be in your lineup as a race shoe, but it doesn't have that stiff, responsive spring that you get out of a carbon plated shoe. So it kind of falls in the middle. Although it does everything fairly well, it's not a specialist in any one thing. It could be the one shoe that you wear for just about everything. Maybe add a cheaper everyday trainer that's real plush underfoot and keep this as like a comfortable race day shoe, speed trainer. Overall, I think there's value here. I like the Endorphin lineup. I like that there's 3 shoes in this lineup, but this one kind of doesn't have a specific purpose. It's just stuck in that middle zone, that middle child identity, and I think some people might have an issue with that. Question of the day, are you a Speed, Pro, or Shift consumer? What really fits your needs? I'd love to hear. Are you looking for an everyday trainer, a race shoe, or something that kind of falls in the middle that can kind of do everything? Please let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate it. Please get out there. Have a great day. Go do be, run, repeat.